Okay. Well, hello, Crime Stoppers. Look, I got the whiteboard coming to you live from the blanket fort of math. Or in this case, the towel fort of math. Okay, there you go. Yes, better. All right. Here, we'll put it way over here for future reference. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, Eric the half a B, H, I, J. Am I there? H, I, J, K, L, M. Okay, there we go. Okay. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, Eric the half a B, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. It's supposed to be an M. All right, so let's go faster. And see, usually I just pause. L-M. NOPQRSTUVWXYZ. Oh, look. V is 22. Wait a minute. I wrote 22 because I thought that was a V, but it's a 21 because it's a U. You see, I just automatically do it. Okay, 23. Two threes. Two W. Two threes. Two threes. W. 24. Y25. Now we're happy. Okay. So, it's called full spectrum dominance because they want full spectrum dominance. What they're doing is making it so that you get assembly nanotech. And I did a video on the various sizes going up and down and the names and the decimal points and so on. And then using these to visualize, and especially this one, big numbers and small numbers. And we found out that there's some patterns with squares and rectangles. But anyway, watch that other video. This, on the other hand, is, let's talk about power. Because these guys are drunk on power. They want full spectrum dominance. Okay, you're part of the spectrum. So what do? They're filling you full of self-assembling nanotechnology. Not everybody, but many. And then that self-assembling nanotechnology makes you a MAC address. And what are they doing? Have they not told you that they want to tokenize everything to include you and me? Except I don't want to get tokenized. So you know what I do? I take stuff that gets it out of me. That naughty nanotech. Yeah. This gets it out. Okay. Let's talk about power. More about power. There's all kinds of power. We're running the original software. This is the software that built everything else. And it runs at about 0.8 of a milliamp. What's an amp? This is a milliamp. Really efficient system running this machine. Okay, they're magicians. They know how to manipulate this milliamp when it's running through the central processor we call a brain. That's actually your interface to everything else. Okay, so they supercharge certain words. Actually, we'll get to that in a minute. There's so much to go through. And where do I start? Okay, stable coins. Don't use them. Simple as that. The stable coins with the Genius Act. We'll put the Genius Act in here. And the reason why I did this over here is because later on I'm going to talk about power and how these magicians energize certain words and terms, and then they use them against you. So yeah, the Genius Act. Go read the freaking thing. It's here. The stable coins, the tokenizing of it, right? Okay. You may not think it applies to you, but it applies even to your body if you have a MAC address. Okay, but not yet. But it's coming, and they're letting you know it's coming. But this is oh so much worse. They told you, oh, you don't want to have central bank digital currency. You don't want that. What you want is stable coins. And what you're going to do is they're going to issue stable. What they're going to do is make this economy for some so bad that they're going to beg for stable coins. And you can have some free stable coins, and you can spend these stable coins at Walmart, because Walmart will have its own stable coin, or Costco, maybe, I don't know, or whatever, Home Depot. You can, they'll have their own stable coins, and other companies will have stable coins, and you can use these stable coins, and then they're going to create the stable coins, and then the stable coins are going to be used to buy the debt. So what they're trying to do is give the FRN just a little more life before the whole thing falls apart. All right. I have so much bad news. It's hardly any of it is good news. It's all bad news. They're going for broke right now because we're headed to this time. And before we get to that, obviously there's 2040. And this is the countdown. The calendar's countdown to these dates. Why? Because then comes catastrophe. Because what they've done is fed you full of nonsense about gradualism, thing that's ever possibly ever been on the planet, and this is the best technology ever, and we can't build a pyramid. And we can't figure out how did they make those stones. And anyway. All right. So what's happening though is that there are those who understand what comes, and they are preparing for what comes, because last time, I believe this was negative 1656, thereabouts, was the great flood of Noah. I'm pretty sure we're in there. All right. So, and that's negative, right? Because this is BC, before counting, before Christ, before something. But the idea is that from here to here, there's a clock counting down, the sky clock. And it's just math. Okay, now because we're getting close to time, the monkeys, the psychopaths, are now talking. We have Martin Armstrong talking about 100% chance, 100% chance of nuclear war. I can tell you from just a mathematical standpoint, there will be no winners here. And they don't want a winner. What they want to do is reduce the population, because they're just doing math. Now, here's the problem. U.S. corporation was taken over by some naughty people. We'll actually, you know what we're going to do just for fun. 25.1. Okay, we'll leave it at that for the moment. And then, see, here's what they do. They supercharge certain words, because symbol rules the world, my friend. So if I write this, until you figure it out over here, if I just write 321, 24, 20. That's not gonna trigger you. But there's a whole, especially on the North American continent, because in other places this is not such a big trigger word. In fact, my girlfriend tells me it's one of her favorite words. But anyway, the idea is that these people right here are programming you in such a way, well, first, so that you accept slavery, but two, so that you can be triggered with just certain words. But see, I wrote it like this. I wrote it like this, and then I put a big 2, and then I wrote a 1, and then I wrote a big 2, and I make a sign here, and then I wrote a 9, and then I wrote a big 2, and then a, oops, not a 9, 4, and then a big 2, and then a 0. Well, that wouldn't trigger you at all. But if I put, let's see that, and that, and that in a proper order, you get upset, especially if you're a liberal white female. Oh, but any woman on the North American continent has been programmed to this is like the worst thing ever. Okay, and then there's another, because we're just talking about power here and how they trick you by using words, and then they can put you in certain states that can affect this. And what is 0.8? That's 4/5. So we don't even need that other 1/5. We don't even need a whole millivolt, right? Excuse me, milliamp. We just need 4/5 of one. Oh, 4/5. 4/5. Anyway, I could put another word here. Let's see. And in fact, all I have to do is do this and say, we know that that's, what is that? LMN, the N word. If I just put the N word right here, oh boy. And I got into all kind of trouble when I used to be a DJ because I said, how come I can't say this and I can't say a whole bunch of other words that start with, say, I don't know, 6 and has a 21 in there and has a C in there, or excuse me, has a 3 in there and also has an 11 in there. And I can't say that on the air, but I could say this word on the air all day long and not get censored. Wait, up at the 7/7, and then a 5, and then a 18. Oh my God! Got people killing each other over the symbols and the sounds that these symbols stand for. But when I put numbers there, and you are in a mathematical construct, my friends, when I put numbers there, it doesn't bother you. Well, because you can't decode them. But once you decode them, then you can get bothered. But you have to decode it first. And then it can change your state. But if you're just looking at numbers, meh. But see, this is how they exercise power over you by using symbol. It's grammar-fare, word-fare, and law-fare that they're doing. Okay. And what they're doing is using their word magic. And this is just the two extreme examples because, this won't cause you, but for some people, this will strike fear into them until you figure out that actually 9, 18, and then what? 19, 9. Yeah, just that will strike fear into, and I can write that without any trouble, right? Okay, that doesn't strike fear into you. This does. Because they supercharged that word, and they did it really subtly. They put it into movies, and they put it into all over the place, so that the whole movie, and then in the movie somebody has the IRS coming after them because taxes or whatever, or the whole movie and it's gangsters and they finally get taken down by the IRS or whatever. But they supercharge that. So you don't want to get in trouble with the IRS, even though the contracts are fraudulent, even though Title 26 isn't positive law, even though all this other stuff. Okay. So the idea is they supercharge letters and words. And there's these guys, they're called, not the guys that came down the mountains in the month of May and have now been, how shall we say, infiltrated. But these guys, the May Sons, they were always in the old religion, if you go back, those that worshipped the elder gods. And there's always been two of them, see, and they did everything to take the world and cut it in half, right? Where you have, the public and the private and the public, the we'll say the lawful title and the equitable title, where you have usufruct, and this applies to all your certificates, to include birth certificates and marriage certificates. You get the certificate; they get the lawful title. And just by the by, is there a law that you can show me that says that I have to register? Right. In fact, I can show you, and I'm not going to in the moment, but you could go look it up, and you can find many maxims of law that say, yeah, no, they can't force you to give you their property, but they can trick you into signing documents where they get control over the property, to include property like intangible property, like the right to raise your children. That's property. That's a property right. And it's not something you can hold on to. You can hold on to the child, but you can't hold on to the right to raise the child. And you have that right. Okay. And the father has the superior claim. Hate to say it, ladies. And that goes way, way back in time when the goddess was overthrown. And we now have this new system where, oh dear, where am I going to put this stuff? Where we have, let's go up here a little bit. See, what they want to do is they want to tokenize. Oops, not too far. Okay, that's good. Maybe a little more. Okay, and we can back up. Yeah, all right. So they want to tokenize man and man with womb. Okay, but see, man, the son of man, the man of sun, man is sun, and Luna, Muna, is woo man. Okay, what's this got to do with anything? Well, in astrological terms, we count now using this thing because it's the system of math. But these guys count in the system where days and moon cycles. Okay, we've changed from this to this, but both calendars are still running, and both calendars talk about these dates. Okay, because I'm just playing with numbers. All right, and what we're doing here is dealing with these guys, and not all of them, but some of them are dangerous to all of us because they worship the elder gods in secret. And they hold, because they are, in fact, keepers of knowledge, those May sons, the ones that come when the May sun, generally about the 15th of May, they hold knowledge. And they hold some of the knowledge on how to, like, say, supercharge this word and how to supercharge this word. They understand how the mind of the man thinks. See, and now what's finally happening is, oops, because, and this is the part that becomes problematic, is that we have, what do we have? We have psychopaths running the show is what we have. What we have is them going for broke because of these dates and they don't care. They're just doing math. So think about this. Oh shoot! I didn't bring the piece of paper where I wrote down the exact numbers. Oh wait, yes I did. Here they are. It's on here. And I'm out of room for writing. But let's say you want to run a multi-million-dollar propaganda campaign that's going to infuse the whole nation with patriotism, and you're going to make a fuck ton of money because you're going to fund both sides. You're going to fund the Nazis. You're going to fund the Americans. You're going to fund the Germans. You're going to fund the British. World War I, World War II. You're going to fund whoever it is, and you're going to fund the other side. Right now, we see this in the Middle East. Okay, we're starting to see that. Oh yeah, well, we got factions that we funded both sides, and they're fighting each other in Syria and other places. Oh, how did this happen? Okay, well, if you want to get something like that to happen, well, then you just oh, here, I'll just do this. You just call an emergency, and then you have about 3K, but actually it's not 3K. The actual number, official number, was 2976, which is pretty near 3K. But that's 3K slaves, and you get to run a propaganda campaign that's going to make you trillions of dollars. Yeah, and let's take a look at what is 3,000, right? 3K compared to, I don't know, 350 million. So we got to do that. And I'm going to put 350 over here. And then I got to go, there's my, all right. So, right. See, do you know your place value? These are hundreds. These are thousands. These are million. We got 350 million. You know what? Let's go lower than that because we don't even know how many are in the country. Let's just say 320 million. Make it look better. All right. So I'm going to knock off 3 zeros right there. And then, so now it's 3 out of every 320,000 of your citizens or of your corporate members of your subjects. You just got to knock off 3 out of 320,000 to get the other 320,000 to send their kids off. And I use the word kids on purpose. What's a kid? Kids are sons and daughters that are suitable for sacrifice. And who are they sacrificing? Who are these guys sacrificing them to? And a lot of people couldn't wrap their heads around any of this. And in the process, okay, and let's go back in time. Let's go further back to 7/12/41. A day that will live in infamy. In that one over there at the harbor where there are pearls, they say that the death toll on that date was 2,403. Now, this is government property right here, because most of those was like sailors and stuff who had signed documents numerous times telling the United States government that they were property, and they could use that property to take a whole nation that did not want to go to war now to go to war because their sleeping fellow men were ruthlessly attacked on the morning of and never had any idea that it could possibly happen, and no one was notified in advance, and none of that. So stop it. And besides, we're going to blame everything on the admiral. It was his fault. Okay, I come from Hawaii, so we might have a little more knowledge of the history of that day because it happened in the state of Hawaii. Right, actually, it happened on the island of Oahu, and at the time, there was no state of Hawaii because state of Hawaii didn't happen until 18 years after this. Anyway, the idea is that now they only got to use, and they always say about 3,000 people died on that day, but actually, it was, according to the official guys, it was 2,403, which is a whole lot closer to 2,000 than it is to 3. On this one, it gets 3. Okay, so they say about 3 here, and we're going to say about 3 here. So we'll just do the same thing. As you can see, it's actually 2.4. But now, I don't know what the population. Oh, I got to go look. You'd have to go look at the population of USA back in 1941, and then figure out the same way I just did. If you're going to sacrifice a few slaves to get the rest of the slaves to do what you want, this is a no-brainer. It's really simple math, folks. And you don't want to hear it. Now, what you don't want to hear is this other thing. But see, you figured out just recently that they really were introducing a bioweapon to get rid of some of you. But actually, what they were doing is wanting to put a control mechanism in there so they could tokenize you more, right? More than that. But they want full spectrum dominance. Okay. And they want you using CBDCs. Oh, you couldn't use CBDCs. Everybody's against that. So now you're going to use stable coins instead, which is like 1,000 times worse. Because over here, you would have got at least some regulation. But now, just like how on here, they can't restrict my free speech because they're the corporation. They have this charter thing that says that they can't. But what they do is they get these guys. Where's the little red thing that tells you where you are? Yeah, they get these guys to do it for them. And then they try to say shit like, oh, well, we're a corporation, so we can do what we want. I think not, actually. And I think that things are going to change here shortly because enough of us have had enough of it. But anyway, the idea is that these guys descend from Babylonians who are basically Assyrians who have a different idea about who the gods are and who the good guy is and who the bad guy is and the left-hand path and the right-hand path and so on. Okay, these guys are on the left-hand path. Simple as that. Therefore, they are our adversary. And going back into the ancient times, going back to like Egyptian times, they had this god, this guy, this entity, and I could use the numbers, but it no longer carries the charge that it used to. But they definitely had a charge on that. Okay, evil, 100%. And these guys descend from people that worship this evil. And they know what's coming, and they want to be in the catbird seat. They want to be on top of the mountains or under the ground, depending. And see, there's another thing. People figured out that there was 21 trillion, and they have no idea how much a trillion is. So I did a whole presentation about them because trillion is ever so much more than billion or even 100 billion, right? You need 100 billion to get 1 trillion. How much is a billion? I mean, that's 1,000 millions. Well, how much is that? And people's eyes begin to roll back. But I mean, 21 trillion, it was finally admitted that they took 21 trillion, and here I'll use this sign, and built underground stuff. And that all those people that were talking about hearing the earthquakes and hearing rumbling and hearing screeching and all kind of strange stuff coming up from under the ground under their houses might not have been crazy after all, because they're connecting these cities with high-speed rail. And we have knowledge now of tunneling devices. And if it's further underneath the ground, maybe the house shimmers and shakes, but they're so far under that they're just tunneling. I mean, they can tunnel under the ocean between the UK and the European continent. They can certainly tunnel under your house. Anyway, the idea is, and for 21 trillion, yeah. Okay. Now, the idea, though, is that they just do math, right? Oh, how many slaves? Is it worth it? Yeah, hell yes, 3,000 to get a whole country, to make them millions and millions and go fight wars and do all kinds of stuff and bomb the hell out of Europe and make sure that all the stuff from the far, far east is destroyed. Any of that culture and any of those buildings were bombed to rubble. Hell yeah, it's worth 3K. And see, that's the way they look at it. They don't think of humans and young men and families and fathers and brothers and sons and so forth. They think of just 3K. It's just 3K to get what they want, to get a certain amount of this. Because the psychopaths, that's all they care about. So now we have a dilemma. We have some psychopaths and then we have some other psychopaths. The communist psychopaths over there in China, very clever, have infiltrated this. And what they did when they infiltrated that was they paid a bunch of people to sell this wonderful story that you couldn't fall for if you could do even basic mathematics, where the whole thing, where what we have, see, and I won't trigger an algorithm when I put, I'll put it up here. Oh, yeah. It'll be 7, and see, and then when you get used to it, you can go really fast, and then 12, and then and do I have to do the rest? It starts with 23, right? Put 23 over here. Can you see it? Yeah, you can see it. Good enough. Anyway, that's a 23. So what would that be? What, I mean, do I really? Okay, so see, now I can talk about it, and you guys can figure out what I'm talking about, and the AI, not so much. Okay, so the point is that using this, they were able to make sure that these guys didn't generate power. Because it all boils down. See, and I should put that in here. It all boils down to that. Okay, political power, actual power. Okay, like power generation power, like we're talking over here, right? Not frequency, but the actual electrical current. And see, what we have now is United States Corporation is far, far behind the other guys. Oh, they have this symbol also. They can put somewhere. You recognize this symbol, right? Oh, it's the people. Yeah, it's the dead people. Anyway, that symbol right there is a fight with these guys. It's a star. It's a star. It's a star. Okay. You get up high enough and they're on the same team. But right here, down here, they're fighting with each other. And these guys very cleverly, totally Europe, United States, all these guys completely hamstrung themselves because propaganda coming out of these guys that told them it's getting warmer. Oh no! Right? And then with all the stupid stuff they did, sanctions on Russia, wiped out their economy. Okay, we're at the end of the turning, and at the end of the turning, the only thing they know how to do is this. Oh, and they supercharged that word too. Well, that's got all kinds of energy behind it. Okay, but what they do here is just numbers once again. And see, what happened is that these guys got so far ahead of us, we got 2 options. And see, I'm an optimist. So I was thinking that they were going to unleash free energy. And that that's how we were going to catch up, is that because we have all kind of ways to generate power using magnetronics. But no, they only give us electronics. So with electronics, we are basically hamstrung. And what we need is magnetronics. And with magnetronics, we could easily catch up to these guys. But no, what it looks like they're going to do, instead of just doing their calculus, is if, say, they got rid of, because they're psychopaths, a few 100 million useless eaters that are sucking up all that electricity. So if you're dead, don't use any electricity. So instead of generating more power, they're just gonna, it's a simple equation, guys. So reduce consumption or reduce usage, And it's the same effect in their eyes as increasing capacity. And they're going to use all kind of stupid. We don't know how to turn hydrogen into fuel. We don't know water. Water isn't fuel. We don't know how to make hydrogen engines. Yes, we do. But see, they're just doing math. So when they think, well, in order to make everything work, and we've now got this robot society because the original software, this stuff that we're running, built it for us. Now we just get rid of, say, 200M and the math works. 200 million. 200 million what? Oh, citizens of US. Now it's going to be problematic because if you get rid of 200, if I got a thing over here, and oh, what's a really good way? Especially if you're going to use, oh, well, actually, I'll go with NW. And that's not New World Order. That's nuclear weapons. Yeah. If you use these guys, oh, you can knock out those guys. No problem. Okay, these are the psychopaths that are running the show. And we got Martin Armstrong and a couple of others saying that it's no longer, it's 100% chance. 100% chance. Like I put 100 there. I'll tell you what, instead of having it in blue, which seems so non-threatening, I'll put it in 100% chance. In other words, out of 100 tries, you're going to get it every time. Because what they want to do is reduce the population by 200 million so that they can compete with these guys when it comes to electricity. And then here's the other thing. These guys over here, they got billion. We only got a couple 100 million. And if you include Europe in this, and Europe's going to take the brunt of it. See, because these guys are thinking like nuclear war, and are you like they plan on it and they'll sell it to you like, oh, we're going to strike them, but they won't strike us. Again, they've already proven through their proxy wars that they have technology that we can't stop. Now, we have not busted out our technology. And from what I understand, and you got to understand that I used to, what am I going to say? I'm going to say because of mathematics and some of the students that I've tutored, their parents were involved in stuff. And the stuff that they were involved in, I can't even talk about, but it's going to make this really interesting. And there's going to be a lot of casualties. See, it's just casualties. It's not murder. It's not dead humans. It's not sacrifice. It's just casualties. And sometimes it's just collateral damage. It's not even casualties. Just collateral damage. And this is the collateral damage they're going to need to make their calculus work. Am I making sense? And then they're going for broke totally because they know what's coming. If you're with the Archaics crew, you know these dates. If you're in the, there's a bunch of them that talk about these dates, actually. And one, I just can't remember, the name escapes me at the minute or in the moment, and I'll put it below. He has a YouTube channel that's been heavily censored, but that was actually where I first figured and heard about this, between this and Sherry Cassidy. But I've heard this now numerous places. And this 21 trillion seems to validate the fact that these guys know what's coming, because they do, in fact, hold the knowledge of what happens in May, generally the 15th of May. And they also hold a whole bunch of other knowledge also. Here's a little fun piece of that I can share now. Where should I put here? So you got the sun, and I put it red there because the red sun, because yellow doesn't show up. So what we have with this sun is we have an upward negative force and a downward positive force. And when we're under the sun, that downward positive force connects with this 0.8 milliamp thing that we're running and can do all kind of stuff, healing, all kind of stuff. Because see, you should never stare at the sun, because if you go you'll go blind if you stare at the sun. They tell you this. So if you stare at the sun, you'll go blind. You won't improve your eyesight. You won't be able to read the fine print on the weed bag, because if you stare at the sun, what will happen is you'll go blind. And so, and especially don't stare at the sun for like an hour near sunset, because if you do that, you'll go blind. You'll damage your eyes. There'll be problems with your retina. You will absolutely not improve your eyesight to the point where all of a sudden you can see power lines off in the distance that you couldn't see before because your eyes couldn't focus, because your eyes would never be able to focus like that, because if you stare at the sun, you'll go blind. Further, if you stare at the sun, you're never going to heal your internal organs. That's ridiculous, because see, there's this charge that comes out of the sun, and then when it connects with us and that healing, that other 1/5 of a milliamp, how much? Oh, just have you ever heard of a solar panel? What do solar panels do? They convert a certain wavelength into electricity over here. And what they're doing is converting waves into a wavelength that we can measure, that we call electricity. Generally, and we skip the whole spinning magnets thing. And anyway, the solar panel takes this voltage, and guess what? You are part of that voltage. You grew up under this thing. But don't stare at it directly with your eyes, because otherwise the super powerful thing in the sky will make you go blind, and you'll never be able to take the light energy in through the nervous system in your eyes and fix issues in your brain, wipe out the nanotechnology and so forth that they put in there. That wouldn't happen. The only thing that'll happen if you stare at the sun is that you're going to go blind. And if you get in the sun for too long, your skin's going to burn, right? So stay out of the sun, and make sure when you do get in the sun, you slather yourself with chemicals that are supposedly blocking certain UV. So like I said, and use extreme caution. And if you've got little boys and girls, make sure you cover them up and put hats on them and sunglasses, so that their eyes don't know that they're in the sun and they can't tell their skin to do the things that happen when you put, because that whole thing, the only thing that's good about the sun is maybe you spend maybe 15 minutes in the sun and get some vitamin D. But other than that, and actually, that's dangerous. What you should probably do is take supplements. Don't just stand out there in the sun for free, damaging your eyes. That's crazy. Okay. What else I gonna do? I think I'm done. I'm about done. But I'm telling you, read this thing, or there. It's already happened. They slipped it in. They told you no, and then they gave you this, which is like so much worse. Here, I'll get rid of this. I'll put it over here, and then I'm going to use this symbol right here. Right? This is worse. It's not better. This is not a good thing here. And it turned out that if I was going to put stable coins, right, I use stable coins. Stable coins compared to CBDC, they're worse than CBDCs. Just let's be clear. All right. This whole thing, this mess right here, is going to cause a transfer. And what they want is a transfer of wealth from you to them. That's how the wealth is going to go. It's going to go from you to them. And the way you could protect that is with metals. Like, right? That'll shield you. That'll shield your wealth from them. Okay. And keep it from, right? You break the stream of wealth transfer. because there's about to be a huge wealth transfer. It's coming. We can all feel it. And see, here's the thing, folks. They're going to change the financial system, but it looks like they're also going to break away, and the Esquires are in trouble. Those of you with the ESQ, and I know some of you are watching, if you were up and up, you're fine. But if you were involved in, oops, not, no, we'll go with that. We'll do this instead. Let's see here, and I'll put the 1 and 16, and so that's 18, 1, 16, 5. If you're involved in that, or in let's not use that one. Let's use this one. Let's see here. That, see, watch this at 2 times speed. And let's see. I can't, that's 2018 1 6 6 9 3 of humans. You're going to be in serious trouble, and you're not getting away with it. From federal, county, state, you guys are all in trouble. And yeah, we know. It's like, oh, you can't get all of us because we're like 70%. Yeah, we know. So this leech, this tick, this parasite, this disgusting thing is almost killing us. And when we pull it off, they're going to do their best to try and make it so that you scream for stable coins. We should put that here someplace. Stay bull. I'll just put C for coin. Oh, and then I never even got into the gematria and all of them. But anyway, you're in this place where this rules. Simple as that. Mathematics. Okay. And see, you can get into, see, in the trivium, one of the things that they absolutely didn't want you doing was astronomy and astrotheology, and how the astronomy, what's going on in the sky, has to do with what's going on down here on the prime material plane. And the Masons actually hold quite a bit of the knowledge about that, and how to reckon in days and how to count down. And see, even they got fooled because they did such a good job at scrubbing a lot of the books and history and just getting rid of the people that knew anything about it. See, because they come from the old school. They come from the Greeks. The Greeks and the Hawaiians also. You don't just kill the chief. You got to kill his wife. You got to kill his kids. You got to kill his mother and father. You got to kill his aunties and uncles. You got to kill all of them. Right? The Italians were okay. Well, we can take a look at it in, like, say, in the mafia. In the mafia, the Italian mafia, they usually leave the women and children out of it because they come from the Roman. And the Romans, it's the man-to-man thing, and a lot of our what do you call chivalry and so forth comes from the thinking where it's the man and the woman, right? You leave the woman out of it, and it's just between the men. Our militaries reflect this and so forth. But these other guys, they do the whole thing. Armenians are famous. The Armenian gangs. If you mess with the Armenian gang, you mess with one of them. They could kill you, but they could just as easily kill your wife, right? And then they have an eye for an eye kind of thing. You kill one of them, they kill one of you, but they don't necessarily have to kill you. Might be your son, might be your mom. They don't care, right? See, and you guys don't conceive of these kind of things, that they play by the same rules that you would play by. They do not play by the same rules. They do not play by the same rules. These are just numbers. And if you're thinking that they need the useless eaters, now that the useless eaters have given them robotics, and they've given them robotics not so good as us, because their robotics run on a whole bunch more than 0.8 of a milliamp. But still, they're going to have robotics that is, they can stand in the sun, they can recharge, just like us. Oh wait, I'm sorry. If you stand in the sun, make sure you slather yourself in chemicals and put some dark glasses on so that your eyes can't tell your body that you're in the sun, and then you won't have all the physiology that goes along with it. See, because I'm melanated, uh, I can spend lots of time in the sun. 1 hour in the Arizona sun doesn't do nothing. In fact, 1 hour in the Arizona sun, look at my hair, and then go look at some of the old ones of my hair before I shaved it and got this. Um, the Arizona sun, look, can do nothing to this hair. The Hawaii sun turns it blonde. My sons, you can look at them. They have brown, dark brown hair, but they look like blondies because they're in the sun down in the tropics all the time. And that sun actually turns their hair golden, honey. What do they call it? Honey blonde. Um, and they do it 100% natural. It was like when I was in Mexico, it was like, how much do you pay to get your hair like that? Same thing when my sons are traveling. How much you pay to get your hair? Nope, we just come. Like right now, at the moment, this is what my hair is doing. I didn't style this. I didn't do anything. It's just, this is what my hair's done. What am I going to do? That's what it looks like. Anyhow, the idea is that the sun is your friend, and they've tried to make it so that the sun is not your friend, because they've even done that. They've see, if I use this over here, where can I put it? I can't put it anywhere. I've used up my whole board. If I do this, let's do 19, 21, uh, well, 14. Okay, and then do I need to spell it out? It would be G A. Okay, so it'll be 7 1 26 9 14 7. Everything they told you about that, everything I'm here to tell you, was a 12. Get used to this one. This should be easy. 12 9 3. Oh, wait. 12 9, not 3. 5. Yeah, here we go. 12 9 5. 12. Oops. 12 9 5. What is, in case you're slow, let's see here. 12 9 5. Okay. The idea is that everything they told you about this, and oops, looking up at it is 12 9 5. Everything I've been able to find, because now with personal experience, I can say you better not look into the sun, because it'll make you go blind. It certainly won't improve your eyesight or help you to detox your physical person. That's crazy talk. Use extreme caution when you're in the sun, because those UV rays can totally burn you. And a lot of you guys. Okay, and here's the thing. Especially, um, is there a time when they tell you that, I think it's 10 to 2, where you don't get in the sun? 10 to 2, where you don't get in the sun. But before 10 and after 2, even, I tell you a lot. Only mad dogs and Englishmen go in the noonday sun, and only crazy people would actually try to look at the sun. And there's a whole theory about how to do it, because you don't just start. Because if you looked at the sun for an hour, you go completely blind. You'd fry your retinas. You'd not be able to see anything. So the idea is use extreme caution. But start out if there's no way that you could start out looking at this thing for just a few seconds and then maybe work your way up to a minute, and then because you go blind, and then work your way up to maybe 5 minutes, and then after 5 minutes, right, and then you do it right near when the sun is setting, because even though it's sunset, it'll still fry your retinas. So you shouldn't look at the sun at sunset at all, ever, because your eyesight is precious and you wouldn't want to lose it. Okay, in my pie, I think I gotta make me one video for archaics. See what's happened, and you can call me whatever you like, I don't care anymore. But liberal white women have taken over mathematics instruction, and they're traumatizing the sons and daughters of U.S. citizens. And they kind of been given a curriculum to do that by the DOE. But see, that's crazy talk, because the Department of Education certainly wouldn't want your children to be traumatized about mathematics, because they want them to be fully functional and able to do the mathematics required when it comes to stuff like this, right? And so on, and not be able to do even conceive of how much that is. And then they're throwing around billions for a building. And they got to wear the funny white hats. Do you see? How come the Negro guy did not get the white hat? He did. I noticed the Negro guy did not get the white hat. But anyway, when the actors were acting and they were talking about $3.1 billion for a building, maybe there's something under the building. Anyway, educate yourself, Crime Stoppers, and see, we'll be able to, if you get conversant with this, we'll be able to talk about all kinds of stuff. We'll be able to talk about, let's see, 22, 1, 3, 3, 9, 9, 14, 5, 19. And they'll never know it, because what their thing picks up is the sounds that don't sound anything like, right? So, oh, and by the way, here's a fun number for you. Let's just put it right here in the middle. Let's see here. 5K per WK is the number that are 413. Oops. 413. Oh, wait. 493. There you go. The 493s. Yeah, 493. Oh, wait, I'll put a little more in there. 9, 14, 7. There you go. Boom, boom, boom. Due to that thing that I was just talking about that starts with the 22. But see, if you just do the math, I mean, multiply by 52, and 5 times is 250, and then 10 more. So 260K out of a population of 320 M, and that takes a year, right? So these guys hardly notice. What percentage is 250K of 320 M. Turn that into a percent. You could punch it here. I'll even do it for you since you can't do it easily in your head because they damaged you when you went to school. And it's a whole bunch of zeros and all that stuff. So let me see here. Let me pull up a calculator. So see, and this is what they want. They want it so that you can't do any of this without consulting a machine. And then eventually the machine will lie to you and you won't be able to tell it was lying. I have plenty of students that they punch the calculator. They punch it wrong. It doesn't matter. The calculator said it, so it must be true. So let's just do the math here. What did I say? I said we'll just go with rounding the numbers. 260,000. 1, 2, 3. See, 260,000. And then I'm going to divide that by 320. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's 320,000, but we need 3 more zeros to make it 320 million. So you see what we have there is 0.0008. That's tenths, hundredths, thousandths, millionths, right? So it's 0.8 of a million, right? Okay, so again, even this number right here, you know how much money they're making? The wealth transfer I was talking about, because you're all bonded. They write bonds. Oh, I didn't even talk about that when we talk about what happened at Pearl over here with those. Every single one of those guys were bonded. They bond all the military guys. Well, why wouldn't they bond them? They don't have to tell you about the bonds. Anyway, and you sign up and you allow them because you tell them that, yeah, universal UCMJ, right? Uniform Military Code of Justice is what you issued the Constitution, and you're going to do UCMJ, and you're going to admit that you're their property, and they can use their property however they like. Now, the good ones, some of the good guys, wouldn't use a lot of the property and sacrifice it to get their game. But there's a lot of other guys, especially these guys. My uncle is a raving alcoholic because of these guys. Was a raving alcoholic because these guys would take losses that no American general would take. And he saw the aftermath of what happens when the front guys have guns, but the guys behind them don't even have. This is Korea I'm talking about. The guys behind didn't even have weapons because they're going to pick up the weapons and equipment of the dead guys in front of them. And they just kept coming. Because we had fought them almost all the way to the border of China, and then they pushed it back to where that line is to this day. But anyway, my point over here is that is such a tiny number as far as they're concerned. Because out of the total population, it's only 0.000. Actually, here, let's move it back one. Put the point there, and we'll turn that into an 8, and we'll give it an equal sign. They don't care about grandma. They don't care about son or daughter. They don't care if it's a young, promising athlete. They don't care if it's a musician. They don't care. They're just doing math. And for their math to work, now that we've had some issues with the power and they've managed to fool you into thinking that there was this whole thing going on up here, which, if you can do math, again, turns out to be a complete and utter, what's the word I want? I think I'll use this word. It's 19, 3, 1, 13. Yeah, total. If you could do some math, you'd know. You'd be able to recognize this, and you'd have some discernment. But this right here is complete nonsense. And what they're doing and how they used it was make it so that these guys fall behind, cannot compete with them when it comes to energy. And see, who's going to run the next thing after this is the ones that get the AI on their side and under control first. This has already been shown. All right, we've done this before. Clearly, we have survived because I'm sitting here talking to you. And now it's just a matter of, are we going to let these guys get to the other side and run things. Because these guys were supposed to hold knowledge that was supposed to help us, not harm us, and not help only a very small portion of the populace. They were supposed to help everybody. No, only not mankind, not just right. The Mesa. They were supposed to all of us, but no, only a few. And those few are generally these guys. This one's right here that have a lot of this. You see that? Here, I'll put 5 of them there so you know. And those are those. All right. So, but not the common man. What are they going to do with the? They're going to do this to the common man via that, because that other thing didn't work. Here, and I'll just draw it because it takes too long to write it all out. Ugh. And here we'll put a little lovely drop on the end of it. Yeah, it's all full of it. Yeah. Yep. And then what do? They stick it in these guys, and it causes all manner of damage. Anyway, they had wanted to get rid of a bunch that way, but it didn't work. So they're going with that, and they were going to go with that anyway, by the way. And then because the whole thing was full spectrum dominance by getting you to put self-assembling nanotechnology in you, and then through, let's come back down here, through because what you have is actual particles, and then they have waves that can affect those particles. So they get that, then they get the wavelengths to tell it how to assemble. Just like this thing right here, not connected to anything, and through waves, I could just as easily be broadcasting on this. In fact, I've made some videos using this. You can watch them on this channel. All right, not connected to nothing. Okay, these don't have to be connected to anything either. They just happen to be inside you, and we know that these waves can penetrate through your dermis and go all the way through you. And so now, you know what a thing is? A thing that's coming to pass is not just caps, but entire clothing that blocks this kind of signal. And by the way, this thing up here is putting out RF. Okay, so you might want to get under that RF. It'll help you. And here's the other thing. I can tell you, certainly you don't want to go out there, and because you know what will happen is you'll get all gray and wrinkly, right? So don't sun gaze, because if you do that and get too much sun, you'll get gray and wrinkly. See, like me, how I'm all gray and wrinkly because I'm already 61, and you know, I don't go in the sun for an hour every day. That would be terrible, because if you went in the sun for an hour every day, you'd burn and you'd damage your eyes, and you know, your skin will get all nasty and so forth. You won't certainly turn the gray back to brown or whatever your natural color was just by being in the sun, because that doesn't happen. What happens is you go blind if you look at the sun, and if you spend too much sun out, it's too much sun will of course give you skin damage. You know that. So don't go getting out in the sun like that. That's a really bad idea. And if you do, make sure to slather yourself in toxic chemicals, because that'll protect you. Okay. So educate yourself, Crime Stoppers, and then educate others. And I will talk to you again soon.